Hey, it's Luke from LT Gaming, and today we're checking in on Starship Simulator, a game that is very clearly trying to tap into one of the biggest sci-fi fantasies out there, because let's be honest, even if the developers have to be a little bit careful about how loudly they say it, this is absolutely chasing the dream of serving aboard a big deep space exploration vessel, walking the decks, managing ship systems, and living out your unofficial Star Trek adventure. Oops, I said those two words. Before we jump into it, do me a favour and hit like on the video. Think of it as your application to Starfleet Academy, and unlike the Kobayashi Maru, this one should be pretty easy to pass. So a really simple recap here. Starship Simulator is an immersive space exploration sandbox where the goal is not just to fly a ship, but to actually live in one with your own crew. You'll be looking at a fully simulated ship with a one-to-one Milky Way driven by real astrophysics. And that future gameplay around crew role, ship maintenance, first contact, probes, shuttles, and planetary exploration. In this essence, it's trying to give us a little bit of everything: the combat, the exploration, and all that Star Trek stuff that we've always really wanted to do in a game. Now, of course, when I say Star Trek, I'm not trying to be awkward or put this on them, but it's just the most honest comparison that we can make, really. The whole point is that you're inhabiting the ship itself, walking corridors, sitting on the bridge, dealing with tasks, and ideally becoming part of a functioning crew. Is that the space game you've always wanted? Stick it in the comments below. Those comments help to keep me on track, because sometimes I'm doing this research in an echo chamber, and it's great to see what you people and the LT gamers out there think of these projects. And this project is worth a look because it's a truly ambitious space sim, and it just really is impressive. And even watching some of the lives that I've been on recently, it's amazing to see Dan do his work. Clearly a very talented guy. And he's from my part of the world, or at least where I'm originally from, so a few extra points for that. But yeah, Starship Simulator is chasing that fantasy of being one officer among many on a long-range exploration mission, where the ship is not just a vehicle but a place. And that really is the hook here. It's the dream of strolling through a starship, standing on the bridge, taking a roll and watching the stars drift by from somewhere that feels like home. Look, let's be honest, it's escapism from everyday life, and we all need that right now, and just in general. It's why Tom, me, and my dad all watched Star Trek in the first place back in the day. It's just pure fantasy escapism at its best. And this is why people connect with it. It's not just a space game, it's life aboard a starship. And yes, of course, it's absolutely looking to scratch that Star Trek itch we all had from many years ago and still continue to have despite the new series. But I also understand why they don't want to wave that banner too aggressively. So it's really time to dig into the heart of the video. What's new with Starship Simulator? Because I know some people could say this is a little slow, but game dev takes a long time. And to me, because I've been on some of the lives and been keeping up with some of the little updates, it looks like the project is slowly building out the systems needed to support its big ambition. The official wiki shows the current development has moved into the theme Taking Command. And that, of course, is a very fitting theme for this game. It's turning the ship into an actual command and crew space rather than just a beautiful explorable environment. And that was one of my concerns when I was on the live a while ago. Like, Dan's clearly very talented at building these ships, but where is it going? And I guess it's good to see the development path. The dev build history shows placeholders for UIs, comms, weapons and defense stations, while previous updates lay groundwork for ship-wide objectives, department task generation and the ability to command NPC bridge crew. There's also been a video release showing the probes leaving the spaceship, going down to the planet and then returning. It all demonstrates that Dan is building out all of the concepts here. And this is super important because it starts pushing the game closer to what people actually want from this fantasy. The fact that he has been working on NPC crew systems is also important because, as we've seen from a number of games that we've featured recently, MMO is not always something that people want. And I get it, primarily as a single player gamer, I understand that need and desire to be alone with maybe people who aren't humans. It's totally acceptable. And maybe equally, I see the appeal of playing with some LT gamers. We had an awesome tribes match last night. It was so much fun. You should definitely join the Discord and come to our tribes discussion to organise a game. Just a quick interlude to say most of you who watch the channel are not subscribed. So make sure to go down below and hit that subscribe button because it helps smaller channels like us grow really quickly, and both me and Tom really appreciate it. On the technical side, which certainly isn't me, 2025 was also a big year for foundational work. Performance, optimization, lighting and shader work, which I actually saw Dan do some of live, VR support, experimental planetary landings, shuttle proof of concept work, and more NPC crew logic across the ship. Those planetary landings are still extremely early, but at least they're no longer just an idea on the wish list. It is primitive right now, but it matters because it shows the project is beginning to bridge the gap between orbit, ship and surface. There's also been some very early shuttle functionality tests, and that's great to see. And look, honestly, there's also been a bit of give and take in development, which is worth mentioning. Some experimental features were removed from the latest demo release, for instance. It just shows they're not quite ready for the public to test yet. So the project is still very much in the phase where features appear, get tested, get pulled back and get refined rather than arriving as finished, locked-in game loops. The roadmap also still shows just how huge the ambition is here. The stated early access goal is to have all major systems in an alpha state, the Magellan ship finished and polished, all major UI screens functional, shuttles fully implemented, planetary surfaces explorable on foot, role gameplay spread across departments, room-scale VR support, multiplayer hosting, and a 200 NPC crew system with shift rotations and command structures. This game still has a little way to go. It's an enormous amount to promise and it's going to be exciting, but equally I think it's also going to take time and maybe some delays here. And that leads us on to the biggest risks with this title. It's really the scale of what he's trying to do. The vision is absolutely fantastic, but it's also massive. That means the danger here is certainly not a lack of ambition, but the very real possibility that it takes a long time for all these parts to come together in a way that feels polished and genuinely fun. But the dream is certainly powerful, and I think we're going to stick with that for the time being. The most obvious comparison still for me is Star Trek Bridge Commander, because both games tap into that fantasy of serving aboard a proper starship rather than just flying one. But Starship Simulator is clearly aiming broader than that with its full ship exploration and crew life focus. Compared to modern space sims like Elite Dangerous or Star Citizen, it also stands apart because it's less about pure piloting, spectacle or sandbox chaos, and more about the ship as a home, the crew as a system, and exploration as a shared routine. So in a weirdly appealing way, it feels like it's trying to sit somewhere between classic bridge fantasy and the deeper immersion of more modern space sims. So overall, this is why I think Starship Simulator is still such an interesting one to watch. It is not there yet, and I do not think anyone should pretend otherwise, but the aspiration is still incredibly strong. It's a real dream game on the horizon. I'm going to continue to tune into Dan's lives on the Starship Simulator YouTube. You should definitely subscribe to that. And let me know your hopes and dreams and aspirations, or even concerns for Starship Simulator in the comments below, so I can respond to them. And as always, subscribe to LT Gaming for more space sims, strategy games, war games, and all the niche stuff we love covering here. I've been Luke from LT Gaming, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.